Welcome back to News in Focus. Over the past 2 years, 66 police officers had lost their lives in the line of duty. On Sunday, Deputy President Paul Mashatile was speaking at the South African Police Service National Commemoration Day, where government leaders and top police brass gathered to honor the fallen. Now, as we speak with regards to the police, yesterday, the SAPs in KwaZulu-Natal made a massive breakthrough when they killed 5 suspects during a gun battle who were suspected, I beg your pardon, of being involved in criminal activities in Chatsworth in the south of Durban. This also comes at a time where Acting Police Minister Professor Firoz Kachalia has said that the safe custody of the dockets are critical if the investigation into political killings is going to continue. This is, of course, with regards to the 121 police dockets which are returning to the political killings task team. Joining me now to discuss this, and of course we're going to be breaking this up into the 2 segments. So the first one, of course, looking at that commemoration day, I'd like to welcome Lesiba Thobakgale, who is the national spokesperson of the South African Police Union. Lesiba, good to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening to yourself and evening to your viewers. Thank you for having us.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. I think, Lesiba, any number of police officers that are killed in the line of duty is a sad state of affairs within our country. And I think when we look at the 66, and given, of course, the difficulty that many of the police officers are facing within South Africa, I think it's only right for us to honor them for doing what they do, and that's, of course, their duty to protect the South African citizens.
Yeah, the issue of police killings in South Africa, it is a very difficult state of affairs. Because when you really benchmark with other countries, South Africa, it has the most and the highest numbers when it comes to the police killings. And that on its own, it is problematic because here we are talking about law enforcement officers. We are talking about people who have taken an oath to say, in terms of the Constitution, they will serve and protect the inhabitants of the Republic and their property. They have pledged with their own life, sacrificing their own lives in order to make sure that the society at large is protected. And when we look at these numbers, which, they keep on growing every year, it really becomes worrisome because despite those who died on the line of duty, now through the previous crime statistics, they suggested to us that most of police officers, they get to be targeted even more when they are off duty, meaning that the criminals, in terms of the modus operandi they are using, they now develop grudges with police when they are on duty, and later they target them when they are no longer with their buddies at work. And we've seen that through those killings of members who died off duty as well. So the killing of police in South Africa, it is a serious problem, which we believe that government is not giving it the necessary attention that they need to do, because we've been steadfast on our position as SAPU that the killing of police officers is treasonous in nature, because an attack on police officers or on law enforcement, it is a clear attack on the state. And the state can be attacked, and the state sits and folds hands in this regard. That is why we are saying that the state has a responsibility to make sure that they protect our protectors, and the protectors are police officers and the rest of law enforcement officers in this regard. And that could only be achieved if it is declared as treason. We've been steadfast on that. We've got a campaign that we call #Protect the Protectors, because we have seen that indeed something needs to be done so that it can serve as a deterrence. Because if the law is amended accordingly, those who are found guilty of such crimes, they happen to get harsher sentences. We believe it will serve as a deterrence. Them not being eligible to go on parole, we believe it will assist us in this regard with the crisis that we are seeing. It is a crisis, we must say.
Yeah, Lesiba, And I will agree with you on that, that I think attack on any police officer, no matter the rank, is definitely an attack on the state, given, of course, their status of the protector within the South African society. Deputy President Mashatile has announced a clarion call to protect police officers across the country. But what more should government be doing to go ahead and protect police officers, given that the high rate of crimes that we are experiencing in our country?
South Africa is a violent country in nature, informed by our history. Remember, we were never debriefed when we went into democracy. There's a lot that has happened to us as a country. And as we see the rising numbers of crime, and I mean, we see it being reported, there's a lot of different incidents that we happen to come across. There's kidnappings, there's just different types of crimes that occur in South Africa. And when it comes to the issue of how government should protect police officers, it really saddens us as a union to say, when we go to the commemoration, it gets to be used as if it is a form of a PR exercise. And why we are saying that, because a lot of things will be spoken at the commemoration, taking the issue of police killings seriously. Because remember, the commemoration, as much as we remember those who died on the line of duty previously, it gives even more focus to those who got added. Until when are we going to see no addition to the numbers at the memorial site in the union buildings for a year in this regard? That's what we are saying. Government must not just make it to be a PR exercise, to only talk about it, but not seeing that declaration being made by the president. Because if the president can sign that declaration and make it, then it really gives the lawmakers in parliament to ensure that they amend the law accordingly, which will then be able to protect the protectors. I mean, when you look at the violence in South Africa, if police officers, they themselves, get to be attacked and killed in this manner, what more of the members of society when we are saying that we must protect police officers? So we must protect them through the law, and so that they themselves can be eligible and continue to protect the members of society, knowing that the law is backing them. It gives them protection when it comes to a deterrence that will come in through with the amendment of the law, and that will bring a stop to the killings of police officers.
Before we go to the break, Lesiba, I mean, has there been discussions with the top brass of the police, whether it's Fane Masemula or Firoz Kachalia, to try and actually address many of the issues that your members have brought up, especially, as we look at the current state of crime within our country?
I mean, since we started our campaign of #Protect the Protectors, we are on record at the Portfolio Committee. Our records are there when it comes to the issues of police killings. There has been numerous national commissioners that we've engaged on it, on the very same issue. There have been different ministers that we've raised this issue with. Unfortunately, with the current minister, we haven't raised anything. We haven't raised it with him because us as an organization, we haven't met with him. We are still waiting and hoping that he will meet with us, because it is important that he must get a briefing from the admitted trade unions in SAPS in this regard. So the point we are making is that we have been on record. There are campaigns. We have marched. We went to communities. We held campaigns to say, to bring the awareness, and also to really encourage our communities to come out when they do have knowledge of the police killers, and they can report, anonymously, so that they can be protected as well. I mean, we've done quite a lot, and we haven't given up. We remain steadfast on our campaign. We remain steadfast to really talk about this issue and reiterate our point of it being declared treason until such time that we are able to see action being taken. And such time, when we go on the first Sunday of September to the memorial site, it be that we remember, we commemorate those who have died on the line of duty the previous years, without any addition of any numbers as we move forward in this regard.
After the break, I'm going to continue my conversation with Lesiba Thobakgale, because you may have noticed yesterday a big breakthrough in Chatsworth, KwaZulu-Natal, with regards to the gun battle that had occurred with 5 suspects involving criminal activities in that area. This is, of course, all tied up to the Madlanga Commission, which is going to be starting shortly, in terms of the scale of crime that is occurring within our country. And we're going to be touching on those 121 police dockets with regards to that being returned to the political killings task team. My conversation continues after the break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back to News in Focus. I'm still in conversation with the South African Policing Union spokesperson, Lesiba Thobakgale. Lesiba, again, thank you so much for staying with us. Lesiba, yesterday's events that had occurred in Chatsworth in the south of KwaZulu-Natal, how important was it that, of course, this breakthrough, along with, of course, the suspects who had, of course, been hunted down, given the scale of crime, not just within KwaZulu-Natal, but against many police officers there? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, we continue to see the brazen criminals really, when they get to be approached by the police. Remember, the police, when they approach criminals, it's either they have got information and they are definitely sure that they've done their homework, they are definitely sure that they want to apprehend. But if the police are doing that and then they get to be faced with an attack from criminals, the police, in terms of Section 49 of the Criminal Procedure Act, they have to make sure that they protect themselves in this regard. And that remains to be quite important, because as we are talking about police killings, it saddens us when we see police officers being attacked in this regard. I mean, somewhere we have seen a reports that came of police station attacks. That clearly shows you that most of these criminals, they happen to be so brazen to the level where they even go to attack police officers in their police stations. So during the tour of the duty of by our police officers, when they are faced with danger, it is our position as SAPU that they must not die with the tools of trade, which are firearms, being in their holsters. They have to make sure that they protect themselves. They must defend themselves, defend their own livelihood, as we have seen that most of criminals are so brazen in this regard. And when they are doing that, they have to do it, and they need to continue doing it within the ambits of the law. Police officers are trained. They understand the issue of the use of force. They understand, the issue of tactical, in terms of how tactical they must be when they are performing their duties. They understand the dangers that they are faced with out there. So for us is that to the members of society, when police officers are approaching them, they must make sure that they cooperate, because the purpose of an arrest, it is to bring a suspect before the court, which is quite important. It is to bring a suspect before the courts. But if police officers are then approaching a suspect, we don't say someone who's convicted. We are saying somebody who is who's suspected to have committed a specific crime. Then when they start to retaliate, it really tells you that there's quite a lot that is there. Then the police officers have to indeed defend themselves and make sure that they themselves, they don't become casualties when it comes to those types of incidents.
Lesiba, a lot of your members, of course, are also from KwaZulu-Natal. And I mean, we've, in the previous question, just mentioned the scale of crime that is occurring in that part of the country, especially towards police officers. I mean, for the viewers out there that probably don't understand the scale of criminality that is occurring in Durban, I beg your pardon, the criminality within KwaZulu-Natal, discuss that, because this is, of course, a province where crime is quite high, but also a number of police officers who are endangered, even if it's outside the call of duty.
I think we must first commend the police officers in KwaZulu-Natal under the leadership of the provincial commissioner. They are doing their level best to fight against the high levels of crime in KZN that we see. And I mean, when you look indeed in terms of how brazen most of these crimes that gets to be reported in the very same province of KZN, it really tells you that indeed the level of criminality are quite high. That is why even the way the police officers they have to deal with that high levels of crime, it has to be proportional indeed to what they come across, more especially when they get to be attacked, when they are trying to apprehend different suspects across the province in this regard. But we also believe that it is more important that to deal with crime anywhere in South Africa, be it in KZN, the police alone, they will not be able to do it. The issue of policing, it is quite broad, and it really needs a multidisciplinary approach in this regard, meaning that the role of community policing forum, it is quite important in this regard, meaning that being it in semi-urban areas, being it in urban areas, being it in rural areas, it is important to have those structures, because those structures, they stand to be the eyes and the ears of the police, and they happen to be organized. And if our communities, they happen to be organized, then there's nothing that will go without the members of that very same community not knowing about it, and them knowing about it, then they are able to alert the police. Even the criminals themselves, they happen to realize that indeed they need to make sure they displace themselves from those communities in terms of doing or committing criminal activities. So it is important for the residents and everyone in KwaZulu-Natal, like it is everywhere in the country, to say, let us organize ourselves, let us hold hands with our police officers. I mean, there's Metro Police, there's RTI, there are security companies that are there holding hands with SAPS and everyone else who participate through our community policing forum, to make sure that we hold hands. The only enemy we are having is crime, and we have to make sure that we face that enemy head on. But the police alone cannot be able to do it, because they cannot be everywhere at all times. But the members of society are able to be everywhere, even in KZN. I mean, they are everywhere. And then the police are able to have more eyes and are able to have more ears in order to hear what is happening, in order to see what is happening, and also to make sure that we don't get to be comfortable knowing that somebody is committing criminal activities, yet we live with that person, or we become the beneficiaries of the very same activities. Because if that is the case, then it means that we are also encouraging the very same criminal activities, and we are also participating, because one then becomes a beneficiary of criminal activities in this regard, the proceeds of criminal activities. So we are saying that please let us make sure that we don't allow any criminality happening in our communities. We become the eyes and the ears of the police. We hold hands together with the police and the rest of law enforcement officers who are there in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and even in the whole country, to those who are watching us from nationwide in South Africa, to say that the enemy that we are fighting against is crime, and we must eradicate crime from our society.
Lesiba, I have to get one more question, because we've got about 2.5 minutes. Just SAPU's take on the 121 police dockets, which are set to be returned to the political killing stars team. Of course, this amalgamates or obviously intertwines with the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. So I just wanted to get your take on that, the importance of these dockets returning, given, of course, the scale of the crisis within the policing within our country.
I mean, we've seen, like we are talking about KwaZulu-Natal, we've seen the political killings are quite high. Thus, the establishment of the political killing task team in KZN, which has been making strides, and they still continue to be making strides. So from our side, we see it as a very good operational move that the National Commissioner has decided to take those dockets back, because they don't need to sit anywhere collecting dust whilst those who are suspects those who are found to be wanting those dockets are roaming the streets. And I mean, we have seen in terms of what has been achieved, by the political task team and even the police officers in KwaZulu-Natal making strides in fighting crime. And since those dockets went back, we have seen the arrest that continues to be made, meaning that the job of the police doesn't stop. If the commission needs anything from the dockets, our understanding in terms of policing is that nothing stops them to access the dockets to get the information that they need from the dockets. But the work of the police must continue. And as we have seen with the arrests that were made after, since those dockets went back to KZN. I mean, the wheel of policing doesn't stop. It functions 24/7, and it must never be disturbed, because if it gets disturbed, it means that those who are alleged to have committed crimes, they get a chance to even commit more crimes, because they may be thinking that they are getting away with it. So that is quite a move that we support, and we are saying police officers under the political task team in KZN must continue. And I mean, we've heard that in Gauteng, there's plans to even establish the very same task team. We are saying that should happen. Every effort that seeks to fight against crime and make the police win and keep our communities safe from crime, as SAPU, we will support those types of initiatives, no matter who comes with them. But it is about the principle when it comes to all of those efforts.
Lesiba, absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for joining us.
We appreciate you having us. Thank you.
That's Lesiba Thobakgale. He's the national spokesperson for the South African Policing Union. Well, that's all we have for you here on News in Focus. If you've missed today's episode, you'll be able to find these interviews on our YouTube channel. From myself, Ross Patel, and the rest of the team in Johannesburg, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.